to the tutorial in Adobe XD. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you a basic overview of how Adobe XD works and some of the tools that you can use to help you along the way. For this project, you're going to be using this software to create a basic wireframe for your website that you're going to be developing in January. But if you are working from home or if you want to practice this at home, you can go to the Adobe XD website and type in Adobe XD and you can download a free version. I'm not sure how long this lasts, but it should tell you as soon as you download. And it is available on Mac and Windows. So on this website, it does show you a brief outline of the kind of things that you can do on there. So as you can see, it can be worked on for quickly sketching up wireframes and mockups for websites as well as apps on your phone. Okay, it has different artboards that you can use to create your different pages and link them all together. And it's easily customizable, so you can change the texts, the colors, the layouts. And it's really good as well because it can show you a prototype to how your piece of work, your product is actually going to work. Okay, so that's really great for your CV as well as for any kind of industry that you're going to go into, really. So when you first open Adobe XD, this is the page that will come up. Any previous projects that you've done on your computer will show up at the bottom, or you can go in and search for a file. Okay, you might want to set up a new Adobe XD folder in your L drive, or alternatively, you might want to set up in your OneDrive so that you can work on it from home. And it will save as a Adobe XD file unless you save it as a different format. So you can see here it's given you some options, so you can directly open up a template for an iPhone or some different sizes, or you've got web, or you've got some other sizes there. In this overview, I'm just going to show you the web template. So if you click it, it'll open it up. And this is the main screen that you'll be working on. Okay, so as you can see, it's just reminding you at the top that this is for our website and it's 1920. So that's the dimensions of it. So what you have on the left hand side is some shapes and lines that you may be familiar with, and you can also add in text using this as well, and you can also add other artboards. So this, if you click where you want that second artboard, if you're doing several pages for your website, that's a quick way of doing so. Some quick tips for moving around the page here. If you hold space, it opens up this hand and you can move around, which is very handy when you've got multiple artboards. You can also click on Control and using the scroller on your mouse, you can zoom in and out, which is also a quick way of coming out of your selected object and moving around. You can also use the magnifying glass, and that will, if you click on it, will go to a specific area that you are needing. So these will be very handy for the next few weeks that you're going to be using Adobe XD, and it's useful to know just to make it easier as you go through. So what I'm going to show you now is how to use some of these things on the side. So obviously you've got your main mouse, which can select the different objects. If you wanted to create a shape, you click on the shape tool and you draw it across your browser display. And what you can do down the side is you can double click the fill or single click the fill and change the color to what you'd like it to be. You can also change the opacity, so if you want it to just be a very basic wireframe with a slight bit of color, it's very useful. If you're looking for a nice bold strong color, then you can do so just on the side there. You can also, if you've brought in an image from an external source, you can use the eyedropper, hover over it, and it will tell you what that color is. So that is the shape tool. The circle and the triangle tool are very similar as well. You can change the colors. You can add in shadows and blurs as well. So that might be useful for when you're creating buttons. And the line tool, sometimes websites just like to have a line beneath or just part of the styling. But again, remember that this software is more for wireframing or for basic website design. It's not for, you're not going to take a screenshot of this and put this into your website. This is to help you in developing your website. And it's really good because we're going to show you how to add some columns. Okay, so I'm back to my main artboard. So this is essentially going to be my home page. And what I'm going to do is click it first of all. If it doesn't select, then you just need to make sure that you are using the select tool, or you can click V on your keyboard. And down the side, you'll see is something called grid. Now, if you click this tick, you'll see that it has put a basic grid outline there for me. If you were doing more of a mobile app design, what you might want to do instead of layout is you would want square. And as you can see, this is more like graph paper. So you've got a lot more content that might need to go in here, and it might need to be more specific. Whereas a website is generally a lot bigger, unless of course it's for phone, but you want it to be easy for them to use. So I'm just going to zoom out and change this back to layout. So what you want to do is, this is perfectly fine for you to use, but if yours doesn't look like this, then you just need to change the settings. Now, first of all, you've got columns, and currently this is on 12. So if you wanted just one, for example, if you click off, you'll see that it's just made one big column. Now remember, the whole size of this page is the entire width of the browser, which is set to 1920. And what you don't want necessarily is content to go right to the sides of it. You might want to, but generally people stick to something a bit more centrally, unless they've got like a big hero box which kind of covers the entire page. I'm going to guide you where we're focusing a little bit more, so we've got a side to make it easier for our content to sit nicely. So that's changing it to one column. If you wanted 4 columns, for example, this will create this into 4. So you might want to have your content going across and not going further than this box here. I'm just going to change the gutter width. So say it's at 16 at the moment. This is relating to the in between. So if I change this to 50, you can see it's made it so that there's more space in between them. So let's change that back to 16. Okay, and you've got column width and margins, which are currently linked as well. So generally, what we're going to be using in class is a column width, or columns that we're going to have 12 of, and then 16 as a gutter width. So that means we've got plenty of opportunity to add our content, and you might want to have a picture alongside some text, and I'm going to show you how to align shortly. So now that you have your basic columns set out in your preferred way, I'm just going to show you some basic ways of adding some content. So in the previous tutorial, we had a look at just quickly adding some shapes. So I'm just going to do a rectangle, and I'm just going to choose from around there, just keep dragging and just drag it across. Now this is good because it kind of snaps to the correct location, and at the moment it's just an outline. So I'm just going to give this a fill of, I don't know, just a nice little blue. So at the moment that looks really good, but the outlines, the columns kind of take precedence. They kind of show up too much. So I'm going to click on them. If it doesn't click, you just need to make sure you click on the title. And if you click this columns box here, you can change the color, and you can also change the opacity as well. So you might just want just a very basic opacity just to kind of make sure you are clicking in the right place. Now, as we've added a bit of content, you may see you may wonder what's actually going to be shown. So if I now show you prototype, you can see it's removed the columns and it's just showing you what would actually just be displayed on the finished product. Okay, go back to design. So these are not shown. So if we wanted to add a few more boxes, get that same color. Another key tip as well, if you click Alt and then drag an item which is selected, you can quite easily drag it across and it like duplicates it. And you can have it going next to it and it's telling you how much gap there is in between, which is 16, because that's our gutter that we've put. So before you let go, just to check that it's in the right place, it's telling you again that it's 16. And just like that, I know that all of these are the correct distance apart. If for some reason it was slightly not aligned, what you can do is highlight all of them. And at the top here, you've got some alignment options. So for this one, you would probably want align middle. If you click that, it automatically puts them all in perfect alignment for you. Now your website may be slightly longer than this, so what you can do if you click on it is click this little bubble at the bottom and just drag down, and this makes your website bigger. The dotted line here tells you where the bottom of the first browser page is, so nothing more or below this line will show up unless the user actually scrolls. Okay, so you might want to make that quite big depending on how much content you've got on there. And if I show you prototype, that is what it currently looks like. So if you imagine you've got a background picture and some content in here, you've already got the start of your homepage design. So something else which might be quite useful for you is knowing how to use UI kits which are available. I will put some online for you on Teams, but also if you click this little hamburger menu at the top and go to Get UI Kits and Wireframes, it will take you to a website and you can just download kits and it will download it to your folder, probably your downloads folder. Okay, you might just want to open them or save them, but they will be a zipped folder, so you will need to resave it anyway as an unzipped folder. So what I have is I've prepared some earlier. So let me just open these up for you. So your folder will probably look a little bit like this. So it'll be wireframes and you'll have some mobile and some web options. Now if I double click on the web option, and as you can see, it's got many different artboards, so lots of different pages, and it's really small at the moment. So you've got to click Control and zoom in, and then space and move around using the hand. Okay, so you've got different sections. You've got landing sections, so this is like the first page people see, portfolio, call to action, and footers. Got blog sections in there and different content sections, which might be handy for your different pages, as well as loads of other examples. So what we're going to have a quick look at is the landing sections. So I'm just going to zoom in. So you've got lots of different examples here. So if you wanted a video playing in the background, that is a good way to start. I'm going to have a look at this one here, landing page 8, and I'm just going to highlight that, click Control and C to copy, and just minimize that. And for the moment, I'm just going to delete these boxes. and click paste. So at the moment it's put me in prototype, so I can't see my columns. So I'm going to go back to design, and I'm just going to play around with this positioning. So I just want to make sure that the box doesn't go past that line. And feel free to drag it across, making sure that it's in keeping. And you can see here that even this box has the same distance either side. And just remembering that nothing is seen below this line. I just want to fill up this page largely, and then I can add a photo or a colour in here afterwards. So just like that, you can see how easy it is to, copy and paste different things across. Say if I wanted a content page next. So if I borrow content 1, highlight that, click Control C, scroll down. So long as it's in keeping, so you can see it's slightly out of line, so I'm just going to drag it in so that it will fit my columns. So that one slightly overlaps, so just like that. I have extra content put in there, and you can feel free to play around, move it up and down, see what you want to have for your site. If it doesn't quite fit, then you just need to play around with it until it does. Just making sure that you're keeping your content aligned. And the great thing about Adobe XD is it will tell you, before you paste, it will tell you the gaps. So when you do come to code, it will tell you the spaces that you need in between there. Or even if this was for industry, it would help the developers when they come to code or do the CSS of your website. It would help them amazing, because they'll be able to copy the layout exactly and not have to make up the spaces or the colors that you've got in here. So pretend that this is your first mock-up of your site. Very exciting, I know. But you want to change the text. You can double click on it and just make sure that you do so. At the moment it's just got placeholder text in there, which is fine. But if you wanted to change the color, you just got to come down on the properties on the right hand side and click once. I keep double clicking, and it will let you change the color and the opacity, remember. Same with the background that you've got there. You might want to put an image in there, but if you wanted to change the color, you can do so. Sometimes it just takes a bit of playing around. And remember to keep checking the prototype so you can see what the finished product looks like. Checking that all of it is still in alignment, and swapping and changing out graphics where you need. So imagine that you've created your first project, or it's the end of the lesson and you need to come back to it at a later date. Just like all the other Adobe software, you just need to go save as, but that's just in this little hamburger menu. So click that once and go to save as, and maybe just give this a name of homepage or whatever site you're working on. It's going to save it as an XD file, meaning that you can keep editing it, and it will contain all the same data. Okay, and just save it there, and it will go in your folder ready for you to use next time. You'll see it's changed at the top. You can also change these tables at the top, so you might want to put home page, and then if you create a different artboard for your don't know what have they got on here, explore or blog or contact, all these different pages you could create as different artboards to go next to this one here. And then we can start adding in the interactivity. So that's all for this session. Hopefully you've got a basic understanding of how XD works and can create a very simple mockup. Um, so you just need to try it, have a play with it. It does take a little while just to get the feel for it, but once you have an understanding of it, it's so much easier and quicker to work with than perhaps other software that you might have used. You can drag in elements from Photoshop and Illustrator, so stuff that we've done in the past, you can quickly drag in and edit as you need to. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.